Hey y'all, we went on a plant walk on Tuesday and had a great time. It was really nice weather out, and so I took samples as we were walking around, and I'm going to show you those samples today and the features and how to tell them, how to ID them when you see them. So get ready. All right. We'll start with ground cover. So this is Juniperus conferta, shore juniper. And as you can see, it's got the short awl-like leaves, very spiky. And these are the male strobili. So this is going to be a male plant. But you can tell it doesn't get very tall, maybe maximum a foot off the ground. And this is how it would be lying off of the ground. So this one is Juniperus conferta, shore juniper. And the other one we did that was a ground cover was the Heterohelix, the English ivy. So these have 3 or 5 lobes. This is the juvenile foliage. So the adult foliage would have 5 lobes. And it's a ground cover growing like that. Pretty recognizable as English ivy. So these are the 2 ground covers we covered on our review walk. Next we'll look at the flowering shrubs / small trees. So this one, the flowers are mostly gone from this plant right now, but you can still tell what it is from the foliage. So the foliage is opposite. It has a square stem. See the square stem? And the leaves are serrated. Really small, tiny serration, maybe serrations. So this is Forsythia, the one with the yellow flowers, very floriferous. That's the Forsythia. Next is the pearl bush. Oh, I'm sorry, this was Forsythia ex media. Next was the pearl bush, the Hexacorda racemosa. So this has, let's find a good example, alternate leaves. And this still has some of the very wilted little flowers on there. But the flowers have 5 petals and this really interesting green center with the stamens on the outside, or the anthers, I'm sorry, on the outside of the green part. And look at that, the pistils right there in the middle. And these leaves are simple, and it looks like an entire margin, so no serrations or anything on these. So that's the pearl bush, Hexacorda racemosa. Next will be the Loropetalum chinensis, Loropetalum. So you can see the ligulate, the strap-like flower petals. And the leaves on here are alternate and a little bit textured. They've got a little bit rough, especially on the bottom side. But the real ID feature with this one is these flowers, which can be pink. These are pink or white. And the foliage can also be green or purple, dark, deep purple. So I walked underneath one of these today on campus over by Kilgore, and the whole ground was just covered in these little strap-like leaves. I mean, it just, the whole ground was pink with them. So, with the petals, I mean. So, absolutely beautiful plant. And then the last flowering shrub we looked at was the Lonicera fragrantissima, winter honeysuckle. So the flowers have come off of this one at this point, but we can still identify it by its leaves, which are opposite. It's got the nice arcuate venation, and you can see where the flowers were. Here's one hanging on there. This one is the really fragrant, almost like Fruit Loop smell. And let's see. It's got these crazy little dual berry type things going on at this time of year, which is really interesting feature. Oh, there's one. So this is the fruit, and it'll turn red as the berry ripens, or as the fruit ripens, I'm sorry. So we could tell this one by the flowers when it's blooming, but you can also tell by the foliage whenever the flowers are gone. Next, we'll just look at a group of misfits that didn't really fit in with any other group. So this is the Elaeagnus pungens, thorny Elaeagnus, and we've got a thorn here, which is a modified branch. So it's, yep, it's just a little branch that has broken and sharpened there, or is turned into a sharpened structure. But the main thing with identifying Elaeagnus is the back of the leaf, which has these wonderful, very strange orangish dots and that silver coating on the back. So if you turn the leaf over and it is bright silver like that with those little tiny orange dots, then you know you're looking at an Elaeagnus. It's kind of a weird form. It's got these long whips that come up out of the top of the plant. So if you see something that looks kind of like a little shrub with these big long whips coming out, it might be Elaeagnus. Check the underside of the leaf and you can tell. And it also has these thorns. So that's Elaeagnus pungens, thorny Elaeagnus. Next, we're going to look at the Morella cerifera, wax myrtle. So with these, you've got the attenuate leaf bases and lots of little buds here on the new growth in the springtime. It's a long and thin leaf. Not really much more to say about it. Those long leaf bases are what you'll be looking for with this one, with the wax myrtle or Morella cerifera. And finally, the Photinia ceratifolia, the Chinese Photinia. So we have this nice inflorescence. They haven't opened yet, the flowers, but you can see the structure, and it's kind of like a broccoli, you know, or cauliflower. Very dense inflorescences of these, and it has this very long leaf with teeny tiny serrations on it. Come on. Yep. So that is what we're looking at with Photinia ceratifolia. We've got the new growth on the end, which is a little bit floppy, but you can still see those serrations on there and that characteristic inflorescence. All right, so we're going to look at our broadleaf evergreen shrubs or small trees. This one is Mahonia ex media, leatherleaf Mahonia. And this is one leaf, so the leaf is defined as what's beyond the bud, and this is all one leaf, compound leaf with sessile leaflets, so no petioles. These long spiky edges, sharp points on the leaflets, and it has the terminal inflorescence, which turns into these crazy little droops, I think. These little tiny fruits that are pendulous, and this will be at the top of the plant. So these are very characteristic leaves with the sessile leaflets, thick, leathery, thus leather leaf Mahonia. We also have the Buxus microphylla var japonica, Japanese boxwood, and these are the little teeny leaves, microphylla, and when you flip it over, you see the white stripe down the back. That's the characteristic feature of these, the dark fronts and the pale green backs with the white stripe down the middle. They have opposite leaves, whereas, just opposite leaves. So that is our boxwood, our Buxus microphylla var japonica. And then our camellia. The main identifying feature with the camellia is this giant, beautiful flower. They also have very large flower buds. They have vegetative buds. So the floral bud is much larger than the vegetative bud. So if you see two buds on a plant with these beautiful, two types of buds with these beautiful flowers, you'll know you're looking at a camellia. It has the little tiny serrations on the edge of the leaves. These large, also coriaceous, leathery leaves. And the leaves are alternate. And that is that one. Camellia japonica, or the common camellia. And finally, with this group, we have the Osmanthus ex Fortunii, Fortune's Osmanthus. This one has the two types of foliage. So we have juvenile out here with the spikes on it, and then the rounded, the entire margin, which is the adult foliage. So dark green on top and lighter underneath. And these are alternate leaves. So that's it for the evergreen broadleaf shrubs or small trees. We're going to look at the largest leaved plants that we saw on the walk. So this first one is Yucca filamentosa, yucca, and it's very spiky. These leaves are stiff, and it has these hair-like filaments on it, thus the filamentosa. It does have a large spike that comes out, emerges from the ground in the summer. So there's the Yucca filamentosa, yucca. Next is the Aspidistra elatior, cast iron plant. These are always growing in the shade-loving plant. Very large leaf. I even cut this one down so it would fit in my bag. So it's even bigger than this. It does emerge directly from the ground as well. And it has the cup-like, strange, it's almost like a tan and magenta flower that emerges either under the surface or right from the rhizome. So difficult to find, but wonderful, wonderful plant. So that's the Aspidistra elatior, cast iron plant. And then the Fatsia japonica, the Japanese Aralia. Huge, huge, simple leaf, but it is deeply lobed with these lobes and sinuses. And I would say that's palmately shaped, so, you know. But it is a simple leaf. It has a huge petiole, and it does have quite large inflorescence also. These also are almost always found in the shade. A very much shade-loving plant. So that's that. Next, we'll look at the pines. So this one, to start off, is Pinus strobus, the eastern white pine, and we know that because of the 5 needles per fascicle. So yeah, Pinus strobus, 5 needles per fascicle. That's pretty much what you need to know. Next one is the beautiful Pinus spongiana, the lacebark pine. And it has these little teeny needles with 3 needles per fascicle. It has that beautiful camo-like bark. Very slow growing. So you don't see a bunch of these that are huge. But that is the Pinus spongiana in comparison to the other 3 needled per fascicle one we saw on the walk, which was Pinus tieta, or the loblolly pine. And the loblolly pine has, let's see, this really this grayish cone, very sharp and very knobbly bark. So the needles are much larger, not as large as the longleaf pine, but much larger than the spongiana, also 3 needles per fascicle. So those are the pines that we encountered on the walk. Next, we'll look at the linear leaf plants. So this one is Cephalotexus Harringtonia fastigiata, the Harrington plum yew. And it does have these linear leaves with the decurrent bases. And the most prominent feature of this plant is the very irregular growth pattern, where you'll have no leaves at all, or very short leaves, and then it blooms into this larger area. These longer leaves, shorter leaves, and this is natural how the plant actually grows. It also is very upright, so you'll see it standing up and just facing the sky. So that is the Harrington plum yew. And then the other we saw was the Sequoia sempervirens, the California redwood. And these have the linear leaves dark on top and the white wax on the bottom. And the notable thing about these is how the leaves grow all the way up, even on the old wood, all the way up the branches. So you'll find leaves on every branch and branchlet on this plant. So the California redwood, it also has that kind of pulpy red bark. So next we'll look at the gymnosperms that have the scale-like foliage. So the first one here is Juniperus virginiana, the eastern red cedar, and it is dioecious. So there are male and female plants that produce male and female cones. This one is the male with the strobili, the pollen-producing parts, and then this one here has a female cone on it. So that's how you know. Two different plants, the scale-like foliage, and it's not really 3D. So that's how you know it's not the Arizona cypress. So eastern red cedar. Also, it's dioecious. Next is the Chamaecyparis obtusa, the Hinoki cypress. And this has the soft scale-like foliage also. And the main ID feature with these is you flip it over and it has X's and Y's. This one seems to only have Y's, but you would know if it was something else, like a bow tie or something like that, butterfly. But yeah, the markings on the back, that is how you can tell if this one is a Chamaecyparis obtusa, Hinoki cypress. And that has the flattened spray too, nice and flat. And then this one has that bright yellow, beautiful thread-like foliage. It is the Chamaecyparis piscifera folifera aurea, the golden thread moss. It's a large shrub and very cool, distinct yellow, bright yellow foliage on that one. And finally, we'll look at just a couple other random ones. So this one is Nandina domestica, heavenly bamboo. It does grow out of the ground in those bamboo-like stalks. And this is one leaf also. So the bud was over here. This is a D compound leaf. So we've got the main rachis and then the smaller, it is compounded multiple times. So D compound leaf. It also has the berries. They're usually red, but they can be another color like yellow. And the foliage can be a multitude of colors also, red or purplish. But this is just a plain old Nandina domestica. And the last one is the Corylus avellana contorta, Harry Lauder's walking stick. This one is the one, it hangs all of these catkins hang down and very dramatically at this time of year, and it has the interesting twisting branches. So that is how you can ID this one easily. It's just covered in these catkins.